You're not imagining it. The pacing. The barking. The stare that lingers a second too long. The sudden burst of energy followed by unsettling stillness. If you live with a Belgian Malinois, you already know, you're not dealing with an ordinary dog. But what if I told you that every strange, chaotic, or even alarming behavior your Malinois is showing you actually means something? What if, instead of disobedience or dominance, your dog was trying to tell you something deeper, something about your leadership, your energy, your environment, or even your own emotions? In this video, we're going to break down the most common, and misunderstood, Malinois behaviors. Not as isolated problems, but as clues. As signals. As emotional messages from one of the most intense and intelligent dog breeds on Earth. Because if your Malinois is acting this way, it's not just reacting randomly, it's reacting to you. Let's begin with the behavior that nearly every Malinois owner experiences: constant pacing. At first, you think it's energy. Too much excitement. A dog that needs more exercise. But even after long walks or play sessions, the pacing returns. Why? Because for the Malinois, pacing isn't always physical, it's mental. It's anticipation. Anxiety. A symptom of a mind that's not being given direction. These dogs were bred to move with purpose. When that purpose isn't clear, they walk. And walk. And walk. Not because they're bored, but because they're desperately trying to burn off thoughts they can't control. They don't need a nap. They need a mission. Then there's the stare. You know the one. Unblinking. Focused. Almost uncomfortable. Malinois are masters of reading their handlers. If your dog is staring at you constantly, it's asking a question you haven't answered yet. What's next? What do you need me to do? Are you in control? A Malinois doesn't stare to challenge you, it stares because it's waiting. But if that stare is met with indecision, anxiety, or confusion, it starts to shift. The dog loses confidence in you. And when a Malinois doesn't trust your direction, it begins creating its own, and that's when the real problems begin. You may have seen sudden barking fits, especially out of nowhere, in quiet moments. This isn't random. This is energy with nowhere to go. It's frustration. Tension. It could be triggered by environmental overstimulation, lack of clarity, or even your own unresolved energy. These dogs are emotional sponges. If you've been stressed, your Malinois has felt it. And because it doesn't know what to do with that stress, it acts out. Barking becomes a release valve. But not for the dog, for you. What about biting behavior, nipping at your hands, heels, or leash? It might feel like play, but it's not always harmless. A Malinois doesn't bite for fun, it bites to engage, to get your attention, or to reassert a routine it thinks you've forgotten. If you've been inconsistent with boundaries, if your corrections are unclear, the dog will start testing you. And that bite? That's a question, too. Are you leading? Or am I? Another common behavior is overreacting to sound, doorbells, footsteps, even shifting shadows. This hypersensitivity isn't just genetic, it's situational. Malinois are wired for alertness, but when that alertness is fed by chaos, lack of structure, or emotional instability in the home, it becomes an unmanageable loop. The dog feels responsible for everything, because no one else is stepping in to define the perimeter. The more reactive your Malinois becomes, the more responsibility it's trying to take on. It's not trying to be annoying. It's trying to guard your life, because you haven't convinced it that you've got things under control. Now let's talk about shadowing behavior, when your Malinois follows you everywhere, from room to room, refusing to let you out of sight. Some people find this endearing. But it can be a sign of anxious attachment. Your dog is not relaxed. It's hypervigilant. Watching you constantly not because it loves you, but because it doesn't trust what happens when it's not with you. And that distrust comes from inconsistency, or from you unknowingly transferring anxiety into the bond. You may also see sudden resistance to previously learned commands. A dog that once sat perfectly now hesitates. A heel command gets ignored. What changed? Often, this is not disobedience, it's confusion. Somewhere along the way, communication broke down. You got distracted. Or emotional. Or less present. And the Malinois, who thrives on precision and clarity, began losing its grip on the routine. What looks like attitude is actually a cry for structure. There are also moments of unexpected aggression, a snap when touched during rest, a growl when approached during feeding. These behaviors scare new owners. But to a Malinois, they're often the result of boundaries that were never fully established. Or they've learned that the only way to get space is to take it. These moments aren't just about dominance, they're about desperation. The dog doesn't know where your limits begin and end, so it carves its own. And here's the hard truth. Every single one of these behaviors, pacing, barking, biting, shadowing, disobedience, they all point to the same underlying issue. Your Malinois doesn't feel emotionally safe. Not safe in a cozy, cuddly way, but safe in the structure of your leadership. This breed was designed to follow a handler into fire, chaos, and war. When it doesn't feel your confidence, it panics. And panic in a Malinois doesn't look like hiding. It looks like control. Overreaction. Chaos. But here's the incredible thing. When a Malinois does feel that emotional safety, when your energy is calm, your commands are clear, your presence is steady, it transforms. The pacing stops. The stare softens. The barking fades. The dog becomes grounded. And so do you. Because the bond between handler and Malinois is more than obedience, it's synchronization. They don't follow your words. They follow your energy. If your Malinois is acting this way, it's not broken. It's not being difficult. It's trying to tell you something. About your home. About your rhythm. About you. And the moment you begin listening, really listening, that dog will give you everything. But until then, it will keep asking. Again and again. Through movement, through sound, through escalation. So if your Malinois is acting strange, don't look at the behavior. Look at the message. Ask yourself. Are you leading clearly? Are you consistent? Are you emotionally grounded? Are you giving this dog a job? Are you showing calm control every day? Because this breed doesn't just want your attention. It wants your certainty. And once it has it, it becomes the most loyal, powerful, and emotionally connected dog you've ever known. Behavior is never just behavior. It's a language. And if you want to live peacefully with a Malinois, you better learn to speak it fluently.